What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. In today's video, we are going to discuss the ongoing shot mechanic transformation that Ausar Thompson currently seems to be going through. We are going to look at clips as recently as this week of Ausar Thompson shooting the ball. We're going to trace that back to last season, compare it to last season's shot form, kind of draw some comparisons between the two, try and detect what he is working on. And then on the back half of the video, we're going to talk about likely outcomes for this year and beyond, along with what Ausar's potential could be if this whole shooting thing does sort itself out. So without further ado, let's take a look here at these clips of Ausar Thompson shooting the ball at training camp just this week. So right by looking at this, things do look a little bit different than last season, but I wasn't entirely sure as it has been a little bit of time and it's pretty nuanced, so I had to go back and look at film last year to take anything away. So looking back at last season, the first thing that I notice here when Ausar shoots the ball on these first couple attempts that is quite a bit different from the most recent video is his ball comes up through the right side of his body last year in these first couple clips, and it's forcing his guide hand to come all the way over. So if we take a look here, when he catches the ball, he squares up and then he rises up and the ball is on the right side of his body, which kind of leads his guide hand to have to come all the way across the top of his head. Whereas when we look at these clips here from today or just the other day, we can see that the ball is coming through way more just directly in front of his face. Now, is that a be-all, end-all? Not exactly. There's definitely people out there who have had success by shooting a little bit off to the side. Larry Bird, of course, infamous great shooter, did shoot the ball to the right side of his head and saw a lot of success with that. But I do think this is a good place to start. However, when you start to look at more attempts from Ausar Thompson shooting the three ball last year, not every single time that he shot the ball did it look like that. Sometimes, in that clip specifically, he does rise up a little bit more directly in front of his face, similar to what we saw in the most recent clips of him shooting just the other day. So that's probably not a great sign, and a lot of a reason why he was probably the most inefficient wing shooter in the NBA last year is just due to inconsistent mechanics. Also, another thing that I noticed on a lot of these attempts from last year, he is elevating off the floor way more than he is in these most recent clips. In these most recent clips, he's hardly coming off the floor. Granted, this is a wide open practice gym taking practice shots, but I do assume that they're trying to simulate this to real shooting as much as possible. But you can see in these clips from the other day, he is hardly clearing a phone book when he jumps off the floor to shoot these, which is maybe a good thing, granted the efficiency that he had last year. Because in some of these clips from last year, just shooting even wide open threes, he is really jumping off the floor. And as I mentioned, it's inconsistent all around when watching his shot last year. A lot of this stuff looks different shot to shot, game to game for Ausar Thompson when looking back on the film last year. So overall, I think that he looks more relaxed as well shooting the ball, and that's really nothing to write home about because, again, it's a practice gym, so that's going to be a lot different than an NBA floor where there's 9 other professional athletes on the floor with him and 30,000 people in the stands watching. But it's a good start for sure because Lord knows that any type of improvement to Ausar shooting will go a very long way. And that's kind of what I want to talk about next. What is the most likely or possible outcomes for Ausar Thompson and his shooting? We know the defense is stellar. The defense is A1, as good as it could possibly be for a wing rookie in the NBA right now. There needs to be nothing more said about that. His transition offense, very deadly. He's got a lot of other cool attributes to his game. His little turnaround, 5-10 feet out from the basket, works totally fine. But last year, it was very evident that the shooting has a long way to go. When you compound that with a coach that wants to camp him in the corner like last year, it can lead to very bad things when you have a wing shooting 18% from 3. So what is the likely outcome for this year and beyond? It is so hard to predict. It is so hard to predict because it is really hard to find a guy who took 100 plus 3 pointers in their rookie year and then shot 18% from three on those 100 attempts. 99 times out of 100, if a rookie is shooting that inefficiently from three, the coach is going to tell him to stop shooting the ball. The Pistons were not too much in the market of winning games last year, so I think that they didn't want to destroy his confidence and also wanted to develop him, so they said go ahead and do it. But it's really hard to predict where he will be at next year. With the shooting form that I see here, I think that we'll see definite improvements, but the idea that he could become league average next year is very, very difficult for me to count on or expect. Now, of course, we can go back to his days in OTE where he was a bit more efficient, but I really don't want to do that because not only was that 2 years ago at this point, the OTE is a far cry away as far as competition than the NBA. Granted, they do have a longer 3-point line that is, I believe, the same as the NBA, not college range. So that is maybe something to give you a little bit of hope. But it's going to be very difficult for Ausar to become league average this year. I think any steps in the right direction will go a very long way, and I would be happy to see that, and I think that is possible. Beyond, I don't think that there's any limitation. I would probably be absolutely astonished if he ever became like a 40% 3-point shooter, but between the mechanics that he currently has, Fred Vincent on the staff to help guide him through, with a track record of taking guys who were bad 3-point shooters, such as Lonzo Ball and Herb Jones, and turning them into great 3-point shooters, I think in the long term, we very well could see a very efficient 3-point shooting Ausar Thompson. How good could Ausar Thompson be as an efficient 3-point shooter? I don't know. I don't think there's any way that you could even describe it. Last year, as a rookie, as we talked about, his defense, transition game, all of that stuff was just absolutely amazing. It is so difficult to get drafted in the top 5 of the NBA draft. In a good draft is a 6'6" wing with a bad jumper in the year of 2023, but he did it because he is that special at everything else. So if he is able to figure out how to shoot the ball effectively in the next coming years, the sky is the limit. I truthfully think that Ausar Thompson with a knockdown jumper would be the best player on our team. And that's saying a lot because I think very, very highly of Cade Cunningham and many other of the young Pistons. But as of right now, it's either going to come down to two things in the short term. Either JB Bickerstaff has to have a better, more imaginative, creative plan on how to get him involved in the offense where he's not just camped out in the corner getting left wide open, or he needs to become somewhere even a shout away from league average from the 3-point line, because last year he was not that. I really probably don't need to explain why him being a bad shooter and standing at the 3-point line causes problems for the offense. There's a world where a coach puts him in the dunker spot and he doesn't have to do a lot of that stuff, but we haven't seen a whole bunch of that yet in Ausar's career. So I'm happy to see what's in store for Ausar. If these shot mechanic changes help turn him into a better shooter, I don't even think I can find the words to describe on how high the potential would be for Ausar Thompson if this all works out. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch up with you soon.